I still had coffee burns on my face when she told me I should have apologized. We were standing in the middle of the living room, the smell of roasted turkey and betrayal thick in the air. My cheek was blistered and red, thanks to her idiot brother Josh and his childish temper. He poured boiling hot coffee on me in front of everyone at the family reunion because I called out his gambling problem. That bastard had the nerve to smirk after doing it. So I swung. One punch. Right in his crooked mouth. He went down like a sack of bricks. And then, silence. Her dad looked away. Her mom gasped like I'd shot the Pope. And Danielle? My wife? She didn't say a damn word. She walked past me, ice in her eyes, and grabbed her purse. You should take every insult and apologize, she said, not even looking at me. She got in the car with her family and left me standing there. Burned. Alone. That night I slept on the couch at our place in silence. Danielle didn't even come home. No calls. No texts. Not even a, hey, your face still on fire? So I did the only thing that made sense. I bought a one-way ticket to Paris. I swear to God, 5 minutes later, my phone lit up like it was possessed. 315 messages. Calls. Voicemails. From Danielle, her mom, even Josh. I didn't answer a single one. I just watched them come in, one after the other, while I finished the whiskey she always said was too harsh for real men. Her first text read, wait, please. It's not what it looks like. The second one, don't go. We need to talk. Then, I didn't want you to find out this way. Wait, find out what? That's when my gut dropped. You know that feeling when the floor disappears from under you? When your heart punches its way out of your chest because it knows something your brain hasn't caught up to yet. I opened her iPad. She always left it unlocked. Stupid move for a woman with secrets. The first thing that popped up was a text from someone named Nikki. Except, Nikki wasn't a girl. I scrolled up. He's leaving for Paris. This is our chance. I'll stay one more night just to make it seem real. But I'm done pretending. Can't wait to taste you again, babe. My hand was shaking. I read it over and over, hoping it was a joke, a mix-up, a bad dream. Anything but real. But it was real. Every message. Every emoji. Every lie. All of it. She wasn't just ignoring me because I hit her idiot brother. She was already gone, long before I booked that flight. She had a man waiting in the shadows. Or maybe several. I had no idea yet. But I would soon. The betrayal didn't cut me clean. It tore me open like a wild animal. She had smiled in my face, cooked me breakfast, kissed me like I was her whole world, while texting another man how she couldn't wait to be in his arms, his bed. Danielle had played me. And she played dirty. And in that moment, I made a promise to myself. I wasn't going to Paris to escape her. I was going to Paris to forget her. Or at least to bury whatever was left of the man she broke. But before I left, I needed answers. And payback. The next morning, I didn't pack. I didn't cancel the ticket either. I just sat there in the kitchen, staring at the iPad screen, rereading those filthy messages like I was trying to memorize pain. She came home around 9 a.m. No makeup, oversized hoodie, pretending to be innocent. Like nothing happened. Like I wasn't sitting there with digital proof that she'd handed her body and soul to another man like it cost her nothing. Hey, she said, barely glancing at me. I didn't answer. I just turned the screen toward her. Her whole face froze. Then the performance began. Oh my God, I can explain, she blurted, putting on that fake tremble in her voice. It's not what you think. Really? I asked, standing up slow. Because I think you're cheating on me with a guy who calls you babe and says you taste like strawberries. Her lip quivered. I wanted to believe it was guilt. But it wasn't. It was annoyance. Annoyance that she got caught. I was just confused, she whispered, trying to reach for my hand. I stepped back. Confused? You don't get confused into someone else's bed, Danielle. She snapped. You always make it about you. You punched my brother in front of our whole family like a caveman. You humiliated me. I laughed. I actually laughed. Oh, so this is my fault? He poured boiling coffee on my face, and I'm the problem? She crossed her arms, that smug, toxic look settling into her face. You didn't have to hit him. You could have taken the high road. But no, you had to show off, like always. That's when it clicked. She didn't feel bad about cheating. She didn't even feel bad I found out. She felt inconvenienced. You've been seeing him for how long? I asked. My voice was calm. Too calm. She hesitated, then smirked. 6 months, she said flatly. And he actually listens to me. I felt something cold crawl through my veins. Not anger. Not sadness. Something worse. Emptiness. I gave you everything, I said. I worked overtime. I planned dates. I held you at night when you cried about your job. I sat through dinners with your snobby parents and your cokehead brother. She shrugged. I didn't ask you to. You begged me to, I snapped. She rolled her eyes. You were convenient, Ethan. But you're boring. And you don't make me feel alive anymore. I should have screamed. Broken something. Raged. But I didn't. I just stared at her. For the first time really saw her. The cruelty in her eyes. The absence of remorse. The complete lack of soul. You're not even sorry, I whispered. For what? She scoffed. For not wanting to die of boredom next to someone who thinks Paris is an escape? That did it. I walked past her, grabbed my duffel bag, and threw in some essentials. Passport. Credit card. My dignity. You're really leaving? She called after me, laughing like it was some joke. Where are you going to go, Ethan? Who's going to take care of you? I turned at the door. Not someone who tastes like strawberries, that's for damn sure. She hurled something at me, her phone, I think. It cracked against the doorframe. I walked out without looking back. But I wasn't done. Not yet. I didn't go straight to the airport. Not yet. I needed to see him first. The guy behind the messages. The one she risked everything for, or maybe, more accurately, the one she threw everything away for. His name was Kevin. Kevin Randall. Real estate agent, mid-30s, gym body, in the emotional depth of a kiddie pool. I found his Instagram in under a minute, half-naked selfies, motivational quotes, and enough thirst trap photos to make me gag. And there she was, Danielle, liking every damn picture. He worked out of an office downtown, a sleek little place with glass walls and pretentious lighting. I waited across the street in my car, engine running, heart steady like a loaded gun. Around 1 p.m., he walked out. Sunglasses, perfect hair, shirt unbuttoned just enough to show off the gym time. I followed him without a word, not even knowing what I was going to do. Maybe I'd punch him. Maybe I'd just look him in the eye and say nothing, let silence do the damage. He turned into a smoothie shop. I parked, got out, walked in like I belonged there. He didn't even notice me at first. I stepped in line behind him, studying every movement, every gesture. He flirted with the girl behind the counter like it was muscle memory. She giggled, gave him a discount. He winked. I hated him. He turned around and almost bumped into me. Oh, sorry, man, he said. That voice. That same damn voice I imagined whispering to Danielle while she laid in my bed. You're Kevin? I asked. He looked confused. Yeah, do I know you? No, I said. But you know my wife. His eyes narrowed just a bit. Look, I don't. You do. I cut him off. Danielle. My wife. The one you've been sneaking around with for 6 months. Sending those poetic little messages. Real romantic stuff. He went pale. I stepped closer. Let me guess, she told you I was a monster? Controlling? Cold? That she was trapped in a loveless marriage? He didn't say anything. Coward. Did she tell you I cleaned up her puke last Thanksgiving because she drank too much wine and passed out in the driveway? Or how I covered for her when she forgot her mom's birthday? No. Still nothing. Don't worry, I said, stepping back. I'm not going to hit you. That would be too easy. I left him standing there holding a smoothie he didn't want anymore. As I walked out, my phone buzzed again. Danielle, please. I need to explain in person. Just one last talk. I wasn't sure why I answered. Maybe part of me wanted closure. Or maybe I wanted to see her lie again, one last time. We met at a diner off the highway. Neutral ground. She looked like a wreck. Hair messy, eyes red from crying. But her voice? Still sharp. Still full of venom dressed as charm. I made a mistake, she said, grabbing my hand across the table. I didn't flinch, but I didn't hold it back either. I was lonely, she went on. You were so busy. And Kevin he made me feel wanted. And now? I asked. She looked down. Now I feel disgusting. Like I ruined something beautiful. You did ruin it, I said. You stomped on it with heels and called it dancing. She wiped her cheek dramatically. But I still love you. That's when I leaned in. No, Danielle. You love that I'm the guy who always cleaned up your messes. You love that I'm dependable. Forgiving. Predictable. But you don't love me. You love what I do for you. She sat there in silence. I paid the bill and stood up. I'm not your safety net anymore, I said. You burned that down. I walked out. Didn't look back. When I got to the airport, I sat at the gate and stared at the boarding pass. She didn't follow me. No final chase through the terminal. No last tearful apology. Good. Because I was already gone. Paris wasn't magic. It wasn't some healing sanctuary with cobblestone streets and fresh baguettes that made betrayal disappear. But it was quiet. It was far. And for a while, that was enough. I stayed in a cheap apartment above a bakery that smelled like butter and cinnamon. The bed creaked, the radiator hissed, and every night I'd lie awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out how the hell I let it get this far. Some mornings I'd walk for hours, letting the city swallow me. No one here knew me. No one looked at me like the idiot husband who got cheated on. Here, I was just a guy. A stranger. A ghost. Danielle kept texting. First every hour. Then once a day. Then silence. I deleted her number. But I couldn't delete the memories. They haunted me in the quiet moments. Her laugh echoing in my head. The way she used to fall asleep on my chest, fingers curled into my shirt like I was her anchor. All lies. All of it. One night, I sat on the balcony with a cigarette, something I hadn't touched in years. It burned slow, just like the truth had. And somewhere between the second drag and the third, I realized something brutal. She never respected me. Not once. She loved control. She loved comfort. But respect? That was reserved for men like Kevin, temporary thrills that made her feel powerful. I remembered the way she smiled when she was caught. The way she rolled her eyes. How she said I was boring. That word cut deeper than any blade. Because I hadn't been boring. I'd been consistent. I showed up. I stayed. I fought for us when she had already left emotionally. She didn't want love. She wanted chaos. Attention. A new stage every month where she could be the star. And I was just a backdrop. A week passed. Then two. I started eating again. Writing in a notebook. I didn't know what I was writing at first, just thoughts, fragments. Then it turned into something more. The story of a man who woke up too late, who loved too much, who trusted the wrong woman. There was no happy ending in those pages. But there was honesty. One night, a message popped up on my old backup email. From Danielle. Subject, your niece. I opened it without thinking. You probably won't respond, but I had to tell you. Your niece keeps asking about you. She misses you. Maybe you could FaceTime her? Just once. Cheap move. Pulling at the only piece of family I ever really loved. Her way of keeping her claws in me, softening the edges. I closed the laptop. I wasn't ready. 2 more days passed, and then a knock came at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I hadn't given my address to anyone but the landlord. I opened the door slowly, and there she was. Danielle. Hair pinned back. No makeup. Just her, standing there with a bag over her shoulder and eyes that tried to look soft but reeked of guilt. My stomach turned. What the hell are you doing here? I asked. She gave a weak smile. I just wanted to talk. In person. One last time. I didn't move. Didn't invite her in. You flew to Paris to talk? I didn't know what else to do, she said. You disappeared. I panicked. Good, I said flatly. She blinked. Can I come in? No. Her mouth tightened. Ethan, please. I've changed. I laughed. Loud. Bitter. You changed in 3 weeks? What happened? Kevin didn't like the real you either. Her face twisted. That's not fair. Fair. I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. You think you deserve fairness now? She looked away. I made mistakes. No, I said. You made choices. Repeated once. You chose him. You chose lies. You chose to humiliate me, and now you're standing here hoping what? That I'll take you back. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I miss you. I didn't flinch. You miss control. You miss the guy who paid your bills and kissed your forehead and made your life easy. But you never loved me. Not really. She opened her mouth, then closed it again. You should leave, I said. Before I stopped being polite. She hesitated, then stepped back. Goodbye, Ethan. I didn't answer. I just went back inside, locked the door, and for the first time in weeks, I breathed. I thought seeing her again would break me. I thought I'd unravel the moment I heard her voice in person, that maybe some small, pathetic part of me would cave just to feel wanted again. But instead, the second that door clicked shut behind me, I felt lighter. She was gone. Really gone this time. No more second-guessing. No more sleepless nights wondering if I should have fought harder. No more lies dressed up in perfume and fake apologies. She stood at my door, and I let her walk away. That was the beginning of my healing, not in some poetic, cliché way. No, it was raw and ugly. Healing isn't clean. It's not yoga and tea and forgiveness. It's remembering things you wish you could forget, reliving moments that feel like knives under your skin, and still choosing to move anyway. The next day, I finally answered my niece's FaceTime call. Her little face lit up the screen and damn near shattered my chest. "Uncle Ethan, where have you been?" I smiled. Genuinely. "Had to go fight some dragons, kiddo." She giggled. "Did you win?" "Still fighting," I said, "but I'm getting good at it." She asked if I'd be home for her birthday. I told her I'd try. I didn't say yes. I wasn't ready, but I didn't say no either. That was progress. After we hung up, I took a long walk through Montmartre. I watched the painters, the lovers, the drunk kids singing off-key at cafes. And for the first time in forever, I didn't feel like an outsider. I was just another man trying to piece himself back together. One night, maybe a week later, I got drunk at a bar down the street. Not the kind of drunk that makes you sad. The kind that loosens your jaw and makes you honest. The bartender, her name was Elise, asked what brought me to Paris. "Got cheated on," I said bluntly. She raised an eyebrow. "Brutal." "Yeah." I caught her texting the guy she was screwing behind my back. Then she blamed me. Elise didn't gasp. She didn't pity me. She just poured another drink and said, "So what did you learn?" The question caught me off guard. I sat with it for a minute. "I learned," I said slowly, "that love without respect is just manipulation with nice lighting." She smirked. "You should write that down." "I did," I said, tapping the notebook I kept in my jacket. Page 24. After that night, I started writing more. Not just pain. Reflections. Warnings. Honest confessions. I wrote about how Danielle used to fake tears to get out of fights, how she always needed someone to validate her, how she never once said thank you for the things that mattered. I wrote about how I let her chip away at my confidence piece by piece, how I ignored the red flags because I believed loyalty meant tolerating abuse in silence. And I wrote about the moment I realized I didn't hate her anymore. I pitied her. Danielle would never be happy, not because she couldn't be, but because she didn't want the kind of happiness that requires effort, honesty, and depth. She wanted shortcuts, excitement, secrets. She'd keep burning bridges just to feel the warmth. And I was done playing the firewood. One morning I stood at the edge of the Seine, holding my wedding ring in my palm. It was cold, heavier than it looked. I didn't toss it in the river. That would have been too dramatic. I walked to a local pawn shop and sold it. Used the money to buy a train ticket to Italy. Because if there's one thing betrayal taught me, it's that moving on isn't a moment, it's a choice. One you make every day until it finally feels like breathing again. And that day? That day I breathed like a man who had nothing left to lose. And everything ahead of him. Florence hit different. The city had this quiet beauty, like it knew pain but refused to be defined by it. That's what I wanted to be, wounded but not ruined. I stayed in a small guest house owned by an old couple who didn't speak much English but made the best damn espresso I've ever had. Every morning, I'd sit in the courtyard, notebook in one hand, coffee in the other, and I'd write. Not about Danielle anymore. Not directly. She became a symbol, a shadow, a lesson wrapped in red lipstick and venom. I started noticing people again. Faces, voices, laughter that didn't feel like background noise. For months, all I'd heard was her lies, her mock sympathy, her insults disguised as concern. Now there was space in my head again. One afternoon, while sketching the view from Piazzale Michelangelo, I got a call. Blocked number. I almost didn't pick up, but my gut told me this wasn't random. I answered. Silence for a beat. Then her voice. "Ethan." "Danielle." I sighed. "How did you even get this number?" "Your brother." I told him it was an emergency. Of course. My brother always had a soft spot for her. That's what she did. She made people fall for the version of her she wanted you to see. "I don't have anything left to say," I muttered, already regretting answering. She sniffled. Crocodile tears. I knew the sound by now. I wanted to let you know that Kevin's gone. He cheated on me with his assistant." I laughed. It came out raw and real. "You don't say." "It's not funny, Ethan." "No, it's hilarious. You finally got a taste of what it's like." "Must sting, huh?" "I didn't call the fight," she whispered. "No. You called because your circus act collapsed and you're looking for the guy who used to carry the tent poles." Silence. "I'm not coming back, Danielle." More silence. "Ethan, do you hate me?" I let that sit for a moment. "No, but I don't care anymore." "That's worse." I ended the call. No goodbye. No dramatic pause. Just silence on my end for once. It didn't feel triumphant. It felt like closure. That night, I walked down to the river and thought about how I used to love her so deeply that I would have forgiven anything. That version of me scared me now, how desperate I was for her approval, how blind I was to the disrespect, how I thought pain was part of the package. She didn't break me. She just revealed the parts of me that were already cracked. That call was the last time I heard her voice. She never reached out again. Maybe she finally got it. Maybe she didn't. I didn't care. I stayed in Florence longer than planned. Then Rome. Then Lisbon. My passport started collecting stamps the way her lies used to fill my weekends. I wasn't running. I was rebuilding. Quietly. Fully. On my own terms. There was no grand revenge. No final speech to make her regret everything. Life did that for me. She had to live with herself. That was punishment enough. One night in a bar in Lisbon, I met someone. Her name was Naomi. She was American, traveling solo, and had a laugh that didn't sound like it was hiding anything. We talked. We drank. We danced on a rooftop like fools. But when she leaned in at the end of the night, I didn't kiss her. Still patching the pieces, I told her. She smiled. Then let's not rush it. And we didn't. I don't know where things with Naomi will go. Maybe nowhere. Maybe everywhere. But for the first time in years, I'm not trying to prove I'm worth loving. I know I am. Danielle taught me a lot. How people can smile while cutting you open. How love without respect is just control. How walking away isn't weakness, it's self-preservation. So here I am. Somewhere in the middle of Europe, writing my truth in a battered notebook, drinking espresso that tastes like survival. And if someone out there is reading this, stuck in a love that feels like slow death, leave. You're not crazy. You're not too sensitive. You're not asking for too much. You're just finally seeing her for who she is. And that's the first step toward freedom. The flight back home was quiet. Not emotionally, I mean, physically quiet. No crying babies, no turbulence, just the low hum of engines and the occasional cough in the cabin. It felt symbolic, like life was giving me a smooth landing after the chaos I'd been flying through. Coming back wasn't about unfinished business. It was about seeing the wreckage with my own eyes. My apartment, my city, the street corners we used to walk together. I needed to see them again, not to reopen the wounds, but to prove they'd finally healed. I stepped into my old place and half expected to see one of her cardigans hanging off the back of the chair, or one of her mugs on the counter, "Boss babe," it used to say. She left that one behind. Of course she did. Even in her absence, she still found ways to mark territory. I boxed up the last few remnants of her that I hadn't bothered touching before. An old perfume bottle. Some photo booth strips. A scarf she never wore but always kept around, just in case. I didn't throw them out right away. I put them in a box labeled past. That's all it was now. My brother came over the next day. Brought beers, didn't say much, just sat next to me on the couch and stared at the TV like we were teenagers again. "I shouldn't have given her your number," he said after a while. "You shouldn't have," I agreed. Then I handed him a beer. "But you did." "Doesn't matter now." He nodded. That was enough. That's the thing about brothers. You don't need to dissect it. You just sit in the aftermath together. I went back to work a week later. I expected whispers, side eyes, the usual office gossip. But no one said anything. Either they didn't know, or they pretended not to. And I was fine with that. I didn't want sympathy. I didn't want advice. I wanted normal. But normal had changed. I walked different now. Talked different. I wasn't angry, but I wasn't naive anymore. I recognized red flags quicker. I didn't entertain small talk with energy vampires. And I didn't tolerate disrespect, not even the polite kind. Danielle messaged me one last time. A long, bloated email filled with philosophical nonsense and pseudo-growth language. I've been doing inner work. I understand myself now. I wish we could have grown together, but I wasn't ready. I'm learning self-love. I'm in therapy. I've realized my childhood trauma. I didn't finish it. I didn't need to, because I'm not her project anymore. I didn't reply. I went to dinner with friends instead. Real ones. The ones who stayed silent when I needed space but never disappeared. The ones who knew better than to say, "She didn't deserve you," because they knew I already knew that. I sat across from my friend Jake, who once told me during college, "The right one won't make you beg to feel enough." At the time, I laughed it off. Now I knew he was right. At the end of the night, I walked home alone. But it didn't feel lonely. It felt peaceful. And you know what I realized? Closure doesn't come from apologies. It comes from acceptance. From finally seeing the person not as you wish they were, but as they are, and choosing yourself anyway. Danielle was a storm. Beautiful, loud, and destructive. But I am the one who rebuilt the house. So here's my advice if you're still reading this. Don't wait for them to be sorry. Don't wait for them to change. Don't waste years translating their cruelty into misunderstanding. They knew what they were doing. You know who you are now. Walk. Close the door. Burn the damn bridge if you have to. But never, never go back to someone who laughed while you bled. The seasons changed while I wasn't watching. I remember standing on my balcony one morning, coffee in hand, and realizing the air didn't bite anymore. The trees were greener. The sky was softer. For months, I'd been measuring time by heartache, but suddenly, the world had moved on, and I was finally catching up. The pain? Still there, in pieces. Little echoes. A song she used to hum. A familiar scent on someone passing by. But pain isn't a cage anymore. It's a reminder of who I was, of what I survived. I look back now, not out of longing, but clarity. Danielle was the storm that forced me to rebuild stronger. Not smarter, not colder, just realer. I know myself now in a way I didn't back then. I see red flags before they're embroidered into my heart. I no longer call disrespect compromise. I don't beg to be chosen. I am the choice. I don't hate her. I don't love her either. What I feel is distance, like she happened in a past life. One where I kept trying to convince a mirror to reflect something that was never there. There's peace in letting go of people who never cared enough to hold on. Sometimes I still get questions. You ever talk to her again? No, I never will. She ever apologize for real? Does it matter? I don't need an apology to forgive her. I don't need closure from the person who shattered me. Closure came when I realized I didn't need her explanation to move forward. If I could go back and talk to the version of me who caught her cheating, who read those messages, who felt his soul get ripped in half in the quiet of their shared kitchen, I'd tell him this. You're going to be okay. More than okay. You'll cry. You'll scream. You'll lose sleep. You'll stop believing in love for a while. But then, you'll breathe again. You'll laugh. You'll write. You'll meet new people, not to replace her, but to remind yourself of what connection is supposed to feel like. Safe. Honest. Whole. You'll realize that the most powerful thing a man can do after betrayal isn't to get revenge. It's to rebuild. Better. Braver. Cleaner. You'll walk into a room and not look over your shoulder. You'll sleep like a man who doesn't worry about someone lying beside him. You'll love again, not because you need it, but because you're ready. So this is my final chapter. Not because the pain is gone, but because it no longer controls the narrative. Danielle taught me how low someone can go behind your back. But I taught myself how high a man can rise after he's been broken. If you're holding on to someone who makes you feel small, unworthy, or invisible, let go. The world is waiting on the other side of that goodbye. And it's beautiful here,